Hey guys, it's Mrs. Priestley. Sorry I haven't been around in a couple of days. I have been trying to get my space set up for doing videos at home. We are in my sewing room right now. I thought you might want to look around. It's not a big room. It's still super messy, but it's a whole lot better than it was a couple days ago. So, yep, here I am. Ta-da! This is my space. So let's go ahead and get set up and start doing a lesson. Hey folks, it's Mrs. Priestley again. So what I thought we'd go over today is I'd like to go over how to do 1-point perspective. I realized the other day that I put up my 2-point perspective video without doing the 1-point perspective first. So I'm going to back up a little bit and we're going to start with just a single 1-point perspective house. So the first thing I want to do is I want to divide my paper up a little bit, give myself a horizon line. That's where the earth and the sky look like they meet. I'm going to do that by just taking a horizontal ruler and drawing a horizontal line across my paper. I would normally draw a lot lighter than this, but I need to make it dark enough so you guys can see it on the video. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide where my house is going to go, and then I'm going to put a vanishing point on the opposite side of the page. So I'm going to put my house over here on the left. So I'm going to put my vanishing point over here on the right. The vanishing point is where it looks like everything disappears. So there's my little vanishing point right there, boop, right on the horizon line. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw in my house shape to start. 1-point perspective is a drawing technique that takes a shape that's 2-dimensional, 2D, flat, and makes it 3-dimensional, 3D, a form, something that looks like you could reach out and touch it. So I'm going to make sure that when I draw my house, it is both above and below the horizon line. I want it somewhat above and somewhat below. So I'm going to probably go about this big on the left side of my paper. And I'm going to start with a medium-sized square or rectangle. And I'm going to use my ruler for all of this, just because when an architect designs a house, usually it's using straight lines because the lumber and the metal and the wood and all of the sheetrock and things, they're all made with straight lines. So if your lines are all wobbly and all wobbly, then it's going to destroy your illusion a little bit. 1-point perspective is a drawing technique that depends on illusion. You're making it look like it's 3D. We know it's not actually 3D. We know we can't reach out and pick it up and touch it, but we're creating the illusion. It's like drawing magic. So above my square rectangle, I'm going to place a triangle, and I like to make sure that the middle of the roof, that's the triangle we're going to do, is centered. So I find the middle. You can do that just by bringing your fingers together. Whoop, there's the middle. And I'm going to go up above that, as tall as I want the roof to be. I'm going to make a little mark, and then I'm going to connect the corners to it. So I'm going to take my ruler, fingers spread out nice and wide. Whoop. And other corner. Whoop. So we have a very typical house shape right now, 2D. I'm going to erase the horizon line within that house shape, so that it doesn't look like my house is see-through. That would be interesting, but not what we're going to do today. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect each and every corner of the each and every corner of the house to the vanishing point, as long as it does not go through the shape. That's your rule with 1-point perspective. Connect the corners to the vanishing point as long as it does not go through the shape. So to do that, I'm going to try this first corner over here on the bottom left. If I line up that corner on the ruler and I line up the ruler to the vanishing point, so the vanishing point touching the ruler and the corner of the house is touching the ruler, if I were to draw this line, it would go through the house, right? See right there where it's going to go through? So I will not draw this line. Now I'm going to try the bottom right-hand side, and I'm going to line up the corner, and then I'm going to line up the vanishing point. Notice how I use 2 hands to move the ruler around. It does make it much easier. So then I'm going to draw this line, whoop, because it does not go through the house. Now, normally I would draw this much, much lighter. The reason that I am not is because you guys need to be able to see it on the video. A lot of this line will end up getting erased. So again, draw it as light as you can. So now I'm going to check this top right corner. Nope. I'm going to check the top left corner. And if I draw that line, it's going to go through the house. So I'm going to skip that one. And then I'm going to check the very top corner there on my triangle. And 2 hands to move the ruler around. And that one is good. So I'm going to go ahead and spread my fingers out, draw the line. Again, much darker than I normally would. And the last corner to check is this one down here. And so I'm going to check this top right corner and line up, line up. It's not going to go through the shape, so we're good. So what you end up with is a house that looks like it's zipping off into forever. It's the biggest house ever. So we're going to go ahead and make this a little bit shorter. Now you notice I haven't erased my horizon line, this one right here yet. The reason for that is because I'm not sure how much I have to erase yet. I want to make this house a little bit shorter so it's not zipping off, zoom, off into forever. So I'm going to make it a bit shorter by using lines that are parallel. That means going the same direction as the original shape. So on the original shape, the side of the house is vertical. So being in that space, following those lines out to the vanishing point, I need a line that is also vertical to do the wall for the end of the house. So I'm going to decide where it's going to end. It can be a really itty bitty skinny house. It can be a big giant mansion. I'm going to go for something kind of in the middle. So again, I'm going to start with a nice vertical ruler. And I'm going to draw a vertical line. Boop. And I want to make sure that it stops this on the same line that the original side of the house stopped on. So it's stopping here on the line that this one stopped on. It's stopping at this line where this one stopped on. And the reason for that is because look at the original shape. It's vertical, vertical, vertical. Whoop, it hits that line and it turns. And for the roof, it becomes a diagonal line. So I'm going to have to do the same thing. Vertical, vertical, vertical. Oop, it hit that line. So now I'm going to need to make it a diagonal line. Okay. And I'm pausing because I'm hoping you guys are answering when I leave a pause. So I'm going to try to do a diagonal line that matches this one. Now, don't be surprised if this takes you a couple of tries to get it just right. Getting a diagonal to match can be a little bit of a pain. And when I look at this one, I think it's a little too straight up and down. It doesn't quite match that one. So I'm going to leave it there for a minute and I'm going to try again. And I'm going to look at the direction of my ruler. And I'm going to see if it matches this line. When I had it here, if I look at the whole ruler, it doesn't match this one very well. If I were to finish drawing this one, boop, it would end up hitting it. That's not a parallel line because they're not going the exact same direction. So I'm going to turn that a little bit. And then I'm going to check it. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So let's try that one. Oh yeah, that looks much better. So now we're going to spend a second erasing and we're going to get rid of some of our extra stuff. So I'm going to get rid of that old line. And I'm actually going to get rid of the extra diagonal line to the vanishing point that is not part of the house. This is why you wanted to draw nice and light, because a lot of it ends up getting erased. And we're going to talk about that more in a second. Now, I'm going to erase that other diagonal line. And I left the horizontal line. So the one that was not diagonal, the horizontal line, I left it out here because, again, that's the separation between my earth and sky. The only place I'm going to erase that horizontal line is going to be when it is going behind an object, when it's going behind the house. So we've got a great start to our 3D form, our house. It's looking a lot more three-dimensional. It looks like a building sitting in a field with a sky behind it. Yay, we can add color later. But I want to add some details to make my illusion even more convincing. Normally, we enter a house using the door. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my door. When I make my door, I'm going to go about a little less than halfway up on the building. And I'm going to do the side of the door first. So I'm going to do a vertical line for the side of my door. And I'm going to go about in the middle on the front of my house here. So I'm on the side that's going to the vanishing point. So I'm going to go up with a vertical line. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. And then I'm going to decide how wide that door is going to be. And I'm going to go about there, I think. And I don't know how tall I'm going to need those lines. That's why they're different heights right now, because I'm going to end up erasing some of this. And again, this is why you'd want to draw lightly. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect those vertical lines to my vanishing point, because they're on the side of the house that's going away from us. A good trick to remember is that if you copy what the lines on the side of your house are doing with any details you add, chances are you're going to be right. So the sides of our house are vertical. So the sides of our door are vertical. The top and bottom of our house are diagonal going to the vanishing point. So the top and bottom of our door also need to be diagonal going to the vanishing point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, oh, hey, half the work's done for us already. The bottom of our drawer is drawn because we attached it to the bottom of the house. Yay, go us. So now we just need to do the top. I like starting at the vertical line that's further away from the vanishing point. And so I'm going to line up to the top of that line. And I'm going to line up to my vanishing point. Now I could draw this all the way to the vanishing point, but I don't want to, because that's a lot of extra erasing out here where we do not need the line. The only place we actually need the line is right here where the top of our door is. So even though I'm still following the rules, I'm still lining up from the corner to the vanishing point, I'm only going to draw that line where I need it to go. Is that a lot less erasing? So then I'm going to go ahead and erase any extra that's on there. And I'll add some more details to my door in a second, but we're looking more house-like. I want to give it some windows. And windows are great because it's a great way to see into the house. You can draw stuff in the windows. It's a great way to add details. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a second story, so a second floor to the house. So I'm going to put my windows up here, and I'll do some more down here later. So to do a window, it's going to start the exact same way. You're going to start with a vertical line. It's going to match what the sides of the house are doing. So the side of the house is vertical, so the side of the window is also going to be vertical. So I'm going to make sure that I'm a little ways away from the edge of the building, because you don't want your windows to end up in the corner of your house. It just looks really weird. You need to leave a little bit of space. And I'm also going to make sure they're not touching the roof because, again, it looks a little funky. So I'm going to make sure that I'm below the roof and above the door. And I'm going to make my windows, yeah, about that tall. That looks good. Now, I'm not going to draw in the other side of the window just yet, because I'm going to be tricky. I'm going to do two windows, and I'm going to use the same lines to the vanishing point for both windows. I'll show you what I mean. So this is how tall I want my windows to be. I'm going to connect the bottom of that line to the vanishing point, because that's what the bottom of the house is doing. It's connected to the vanishing point. And again, I'm not going to bother drawing the entire line in because I don't want to do all that extra erasing. I am, however, going to go all the way across the house. And no, it's not going to end up being one giant window. I'll show you what I'm doing in a second. And then the top of the house is going to the vanishing point. So the top of my window is also going to go to the vanishing point. And I'm going to do that again. Now, before I draw in another vertical line to end the window, I'm actually going to take this big giant space I made and I'm going to make more than one window. A lot less work for me. It's great. So the left side of our window, we've got the vertical line. Now I'm going to draw on the right side of the window. And I'm going to go about there and see if I like the size. And I'm going to draw it right between the top and bottom line we just made. Ta-da! Window. Now I'm going to erase a little of our line to the vanishing point to make a gap. Erase the little gap I made. And I'm going to start a new window using the same top and bottom line that I already have. And as things get further away from us, they are going to look a little bit smaller. So what's going to happen is I'm not going to use quite as much space in between as I did the first time. So I'm going to go about, let's go there. I like that spot. We'll see if that looks good. Yeah, just a little bit smaller. And then, ooh, you know what? I've got some more room. I'm going to do a third window. I'm going to erase a little gap. Boop, boop, boop. And I'm going to start with a vertical line. And because we left our lines on the house for the top and bottom, we don't have to do any extra work. We just need to make sure that it's a smidgen smaller than the one next to it. Ta-da! Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So, that is a really basic start to your house. There are a few more details we can add, but I think we might add that in another lesson later. Go ahead, give it a try. Don't be surprised if you have to go through a whole bunch of drafts to get one that you like. Chances are, if you're on this drawing instead of one of the later drawings, you're just starting out. So it's okay for you to make mistakes. It's totally okay for you to have wiggly lines that need to be fixed. Draw light, do a bunch of drafts. Don't worry if you get it wrong. And I hope to see your houses when we come back. Bye, guys.